Picture this moment. Two teenagers who absolutely despise each other, suddenly finding themselves abandoned on an uninhabited island with nobody around for miles. But sometimes the most unexpected situations transform people in ways nobody could imagine. This is exactly what happened to our two main characters, and their journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Let me introduce you to Emma first. She's that kind of student every teacher adores. Bright, energetic, always surrounded by friends, and her mornings start before the sun fully rises. While Emma's alarm rings at dawn, Dean's still buried under his blanket, ignoring responsibilities. He barely makes it through his morning routine before diving into his gaming console. One particular morning, Emma's mother drops her and her younger sister at school. The hallways buzz with excitement as Emma meets her closest friend. They're giggling about something when a boy approaches them, greeting Emma warmly. Her friend immediately notices the chemistry and begins her playful teasing, making Emma's cheeks turn red with embarrassment. Inside the classroom, their teacher makes an announcement that sends everyone into a frenzy. There's going to be an educational expedition to a stunning coastal island, and the departure is scheduled for early next morning. The entire class erupts with excitement. While this cheerful chatter continues, Emma's attention shifts to Dean, sitting isolated at another table. He's casually using a small pocket knife to slice an apple. A teacher spots this and immediately confronts him about bringing a blade to school premises. The situation escalates quickly, and Dean finds himself being escorted to the administrative office. Emma's friend shakes her head disapprovingly, commenting how Dean represents nothing but constant problems. The following morning arrives with completely different energies in two households. Emma practically bounces with enthusiasm, expressing gratitude to her parents for allowing this adventure. His father reminds him firmly that this opportunity came after considerable effort following Dean's previous mistakes, and wasting it isn't an option. Dean reluctantly gives in. At school, students gather around the waiting bus. Emma boards and receives another greeting from that same boy, but her friend quickly pulls her away, whispering advice about focusing on the right person and not getting distracted. After hours of traveling, they finally reach their destination. The island looks magnificent. Emma and her group immediately rush toward the swimming area, splashing around and soaking in the tropical atmosphere. The boy joins their fun while Dean observes everything from a distance, preferring solitude over social interaction. Later that evening, someone mentions a gathering happening on a local vessel docked nearby. Emma initially hesitates, not feeling particularly interested, but peer pressure works its magic, and she agrees to attend. Once there, she searches for her best friend, but instead witnesses something that shatters her. That boy she'd been blushing about is kissing someone else entirely. The disappointment hits hard. Emma decides leaving immediately is her best option. From somewhere across the deck, Dean notices her distressed expression and quietly observes her reaction. Dean makes a sarcastic comment about how her romantic interest seems to be thoroughly enjoying himself. Emma fires back defensively, telling him to stay out of her business. Police officers board the vessel, having received reports about illegal substances being used at this gathering. They immediately begin assembling everyone for questioning. In the resulting chaos and confusion, Emma loses her balance and tumbles over the railing into the dark ocean below. Dean witnesses her falling and reacts instantly. Without thinking twice, he dives into the water after her. After struggling to pull Emma to safety, Dean spots a small emergency boat tethered to the main vessel. He cuts the rope connecting their small boat to the larger one. Emma stares at him in complete shock, demanding to know why he just did that. Dean explains bluntly that he's not planning to get caught up in a police investigation. Dean suddenly realizes their small boat has no motor attached. Before they can process this problem, an enormous wave crashes over them. Their tiny vessel rocks violently as a storm begins raging around them. They grip whatever they can find, holding on desperately as nature tosses them around throughout the entire night. When dawn finally breaks, the storm has passed, but they face a new nightmare. They're floating somewhere in the vast ocean with no land visible anywhere. Complete isolation surrounds them. Dean reaches for his phone to call for help, but realizes with sinking dread that he left it behind. He asks Emma if she has hers. She does, but there's absolutely no signal available. Frustrated beyond measure, Emma blames Dean for their predicament. Dean tries maintaining optimism despite everything. As they continue drifting aimlessly, Emma spots something on the horizon. It's land. A small island emerges in the distance. After exhausting effort, they finally reach the shoreline and collapse on the sand. Emma immediately checks her phone again, hoping desperately for any network connection. Nothing. Meanwhile, Dean searches through their small boat and discovers a flare gun, which he pockets immediately. They decide exploring this island is their only logical next step, hoping to find other people or some form of civilization. Walking deeper into the tropical forest, they stumble upon a breathtaking waterfall cascading down rocky cliffs. Dean stops in his tracks, mesmerized by the natural beauty surrounding them. He suggests Emma should capture this moment photographically for future memories. Emma glares at him with pure irritation, questioning whether he's actually serious right now. They're stranded and possibly in danger, and he's thinking about tourism. Dean just laughs, suggesting she might as well try enjoying something beautiful while they figure out their escape plan. Meanwhile, back at the hotel where the school group is staying, their teacher is absolutely furious about the student behavior from the previous night. He makes the decision to cancel the remainder of the trip entirely. Emma's best friend approaches another teacher nervously, admitting she hasn't seen Emma since the previous evening. She'd assumed Emma was with someone else and didn't think to mention it earlier. The teacher informs their supervisor, who conducts a head count and discovers not just Emma, but Dean is missing as well. Police get contacted immediately and begin interviewing Emma's friends about the last time anyone saw her. When officers ask whether the missing students could have ended up in the ocean, one explains that while it's possible, locating anyone stranded at sea becomes extremely difficult. Simultaneously, both families receive the devastating news. Dean's father and Emma's parents rush to the school demanding explanations from the administration, but the principal has no clear answers to provide. Back on the island, Dean and Emma push through dense vegetation for hours until they reach the opposite edge of the landmass. They scan their surroundings carefully, hoping to spot any signs of human presence or activity. But the place is utterly deserted. Realizing they have no other options, they decide returning to their boat makes the most sense. However, when they reach the original beach, they're met with crushing disappointment. The boat has vanished completely. Strong ocean currents carried it away, leaving behind only a single life jacket as evidence it was ever there. Exhausted and defeated, they sit down trying to process their situation. As sunset approaches, Dean gathers dried branches and manages to start a small fire. They decide spending the night at this location is necessary. When Dean notices Emma shivering in the cooling evening air, he removes his shirt without hesitation and offers it to her for warmth. The next morning, Dean wakes to find Emma missing. Panic sets in as he searches for her, eventually spotting her near the waterline, creating something in the sand. Large letters spell out a distress signal. Dean asks what she's attempting to accomplish. Emma responds that she's trying to ensure their survival. They need to locate fresh water and food sources soon, or their situation will become critical. Dean heads toward the ocean, deciding a swim might help clear his mind and cool him down. Emma watches silently as he disappears into the waves. Back at the hotel, their teacher meets with both sets of parents, explaining that police are actively conducting search operations and have discovered evidence of a small boat in the surrounding waters. Dean's father grows increasingly frustrated, suggesting they should hire private rescue specialists instead of relying solely on official channels. The teacher tries reassuring him that authorities are handling the situation professionally and they need to maintain trust in the process. On the island, Emma explores the forest searching for water when suddenly she gets an unsettling feeling that someone is observing her movements. The sensation makes her extremely uncomfortable, and she quickly leaves that area. When she finds Dean again, they work together collecting leaves and branches to construct a basic shelter. They also collaborate on creating a massive distress signal on the beach, hoping aerial search teams might spot it from above. For sustenance, they explore the island eating whatever edible plants they can identify. Dean discovers banana trees and picks fruit for both of them. The tropical heat becomes unbearable, forcing Emma to modify her clothing by cutting her pants into shorts for better comfort. That evening, while Dean rests inside their makeshift hut, Emma lies down nearby. In his sleep, Dean shifts toward Emma, his hand coming to rest on her. The following day, Emma bathes beneath the waterfall when Dean approaches asking for sunscreen. Emma tells him to find somewhere else, since she's currently bathing. Dean smirks, reminding her that she specifically asked him to keep watch for safety purposes. So here he is. Emma frowns, explaining she made that request because she genuinely believes someone else inhabits this island. They're not alone here. Back at the hotel, Emma's disappearance has attracted media attention. Police inform her parents that the probability of finding either teenager alive has diminished significantly. This information devastates Emma's mother completely. Her father comforts her, promising to care for their younger daughter, while urging his wife not to abandon hope. Meanwhile, Dean's father rents a helicopter and joins Emma's mother in aerial search efforts, flying over vast stretches of ocean, scanning for any trace of their children. As darkness falls on the island, Emma confesses to Dean how desperately she misses her family. Attempting to lift her spirits, Dean starts looking around but accidentally stumbles upon a human skull partially buried in the sand. Emma reacts with terror. She panics, convinced this must have been someone who got trapped here just like them, and questions whether they'll meet the same fate. Dean works to calm her down, theorizing this person was probably a fisherman, or perhaps even a smuggler who ended up here accidentally. Unlike that individual, they have people actively searching for them, people who care deeply about their return. They're not truly alone, and he promises they will survive this ordeal. After saying this, Dean leans forward and kisses her. For Emma, this marks her first experience with such intimacy. As the night deepens, boundaries dissolve between them completely. Emma experiences sensations she'd never imagined, wild and untamed emotions in this isolated paradise. When morning arrives, Emma wakes to find Dean gone. She calls his name repeatedly, searching with growing concern until she discovers him digging a pit in the ground. Confused, she asks what he's doing, but before he can respond, Emma trips and scrapes her knee badly. Dean immediately tends to her wound, cleaning it carefully and reassuring her she'll recover fine. Later, while they rest near the waterfall, Dean opens up emotionally about his mother's death in a car accident. Emma listens attentively, touched by his willingness to share something so painful and personal. Rain begins falling, and Dean starts playing in it like a child. Emma joins him, and they laugh together, dancing without care. Dean picks a flower and gently places it in Emma's hair, making her smile genuinely. Emma expresses wanting to experience the storm's intensity again. Dean smiles knowingly and begins preparing for another passionate night together. Meanwhile, an entire month has passed since both teenagers disappeared. Police officially declare them most likely deceased and terminate the active search operation. However, Emma's mother refuses accepting this conclusion. She organizes another search effort with Dean's father, distributing printed flyers containing their descriptions and photographs throughout the area. After days of intensive searching yielding nothing, Dean's father suggests perhaps it's time to return home. Emma's mother reluctantly agrees, but remains uncertain about her daughter's true fate. On the island, Dean tells Emma about a mysterious green light his mother once described that supposedly appears during sunset. Weeks continue passing, and they grow increasingly close, discovering comfort in each other's presence and enjoying the island's natural beauty. Their physical intimacy becomes frequent and natural between them. One day, Emma asks Dean about his first such experience. Dean laughs, sharing it happened with an older friend back during his school days. When Dean turns the question back to Emma, asking how she felt about their experiences together, she shyly admits it feels good. They laugh, and Emma requests more experiences with him. Dean grins in agreement. While gathering fruits later, they hear distant engine sounds. A plane. They rush toward an open clearing, and Dean frantically searches Emma's bag for the flare gun, but it's missing. The aircraft passes overhead and disappears beyond the horizon, leaving them devastated and hopeless once again. Later, Emma notices other items have also gone missing from their supplies. A chilling realization strikes her. She voices her suspicion to Dean that someone else definitely inhabits this island and has been stealing from them systematically. Several more days pass with only that single plane ever appearing overhead. Nobody has come to rescue them. Dean and Emma sit inside their hut, discussing whether they should abandon all hope of returning to civilization. They decide accepting their current reality and building a life together on this island might be their only option. Suddenly, Dean hears unusual animal sounds coming from the forest. He investigates, and Emma, worried for his safety, follows behind him. As Dean ventures deeper into the jungle, he encounters a black panther. Terror grips him, and he runs desperately with the predator chasing close behind. After a prolonged chase, Dean falls to the ground. When Emma reaches the scene, she sees Dean clutching a blood-covered knife, having killed the panther in self-defense. Back in civilization, both families and friends attempt continuing their lives without their missing loved ones. Dean and Emma, however, have completely adapted to island existence. They've mastered hunting techniques and built a comfortable life inside their shelter, having released any expectation that rescue would ever arrive. One day while resting, Emma notices their stolen items falling from above. Looking up, they spot a monkey perched in a tree, throwing their belongings down playfully. To their amazement, the monkey is holding the missing flare gun. Emma offers the animal a banana as trade, and the monkey tosses the gun down to them. Just as they retrieve this crucial tool, helicopter rotors echo across the sky. They sprint toward an open area, and Emma successfully fires the flare into the air. The helicopter crew spots the signal and descends toward them. Emma and Dean return home to a reception at the airport, where friends and family greet them with overwhelming joy and relief. They're taken to their respective homes to recover. They discuss how strange normal life feels after everything they experienced together. Dean leans in, attempting to kiss her, but Emma gently pulls back, explaining her parents are constantly checking on her and the timing isn't right. She invites him instead to a celebration party her parents are hosting to commemorate their safe return. The next evening at this gathering, Emma's parents deliver an emotional speech about their children's miraculous homecoming. Emma's younger sister asks Dean why he's standing apart from everyone else. Dean signals Emma, hoping she'll join him, but she deliberately ignores his gesture. Hurt by this rejection, Dean leaves the party early. In the following days, Emma becomes somewhat famous due to media coverage of their survival story, while Dean remains isolated and withdrawn. Whenever they pass each other at school, they exchange only brief glances without speaking. A few days later, Emma attempts calling Dean, but he doesn't answer. How they feared losing her forever, but now that everyone's together again, everything feels right. Emma responds affectionately, calling her sister wonderful, and they decide attending the upcoming school dance together. Meanwhile, Dean visits his mother's grave, crying as memories flood back to him. On the night of the dance, Dean remains home watching television when his father asks whether he'd like to wear his coat to the party. Emma arrives at the dance with her sister by her side. Her best friend leads Emma toward a surprise waiting outside. Through the windows, Emma sees Dean standing alone in the pouring rain, waiting specifically for her. This image triggers powerful memories of their time on the island together. Moved deeply by the gesture, Emma steps outside into the rain to join him. Dean and Emma reunite properly, and they share a kiss that confirms their bond survived, even returning to civilization. Their happiness radiates through the rain as they embrace their connection. And this is where their extraordinary journey of transformation comes full circle, proving that sometimes the people we least expect can become the most important in our lives.